Morning, everyone. My name is Paul Ziske. I'm with Metaphora, and we're going to talk about bringing location indoors. Henry Ford Health System does 6 to 10,000 ambulatory visits a day. Of course, all those people will need to navigate to either a clinic or a hospital. Statistically, 71% of them will have a smartphone. If they don't know the way, 67 of those patients will use GPS on the phone. The patients using GPS will likely get to their appointment without getting lost, unless the appointment is in the hospital. If it's in the hospital, they'll try to find the first person with a white coat, or if they come in the main door, they might ask the information desk. The information desk will give them verbal directions that they won't write down, and they'll probably still end up asking somebody for help. Or worst case, they'll wander around until they figure it out and be even later for the appointment. Ask anyone who works in the hospital and they'll tell you this is a problem. Late appointments cost the health system a lot of money, and late patients will usually complain that they got lost. Of course, you can't ignore the lost productivity from clinicians being constantly stopped for directions. Besides the patients getting lost, vital equipment is often unavailable to the staff when they need it, because a lot of it's left someplace or stashed away. A surgeon can't start a case because a monitor or a pump is unavailable. A patient can't leave the ER because some piece of equipment is missing. This impacts care, and because we lease much of this equipment, this impacts us financially as well. So I thought about consumer apps where they're targeting users by capturing and presenting context back to them. For example, recently I went to the Verizon store and a notification popped up and greeted me. The app asked me if I wanted to automatically check in, and it put me to the head of the line. I use Waze when I commute because location information provided by others ahead of me, I'm alerted to slowdowns or maybe even a car on the side of the road. Here I have a tile. It can help me find my keys if they're lost by using other phones as sensors. So I thought, if we can do this in a hospital, we can do this in maybe we can solve some problems in healthcare. Waze was just purchased by Google for over $1 billion, so make no mistake, location is big business, but all that business is lost when you come indoors. So if it's lost, well, maybe we can be the ones to find it. We're implementing a next generation indoor positioning technology that will allow for less than a 5-meter accuracy and floor level. With this technology, we'll build an app that will give us an indoor navigation experience like you can have right now outdoors with your GPS. With indoor positioning in place, we can build an app to allow hospital staff to find vital equipment without breaking the bank to purchase real-time location services system. Metaphora can do both of these things and more. Indoor positioning and indoor navigation, or IPIN, is what we like to call indoor GPS. So let's talk about how this works. We're partnering with Apple on a program they call Maps Connect. This involves implementing a next generation indoor positioning technology they call RF fingerprinting. This radio frequency fingerprinting differs from other attempts at using the Wi-Fi to do indoor location. This gives us that little blue dot that we're all familiar with. When you combine the blue dot with an indoor map, then you get indoor navigation, or indoor GPS if you want to think of it that way. Because this is using the existing Wi-Fi, it requires no additional infrastructure. So this is the first half of our project. Next, we'll attach these proximity beacons to the equipment so that they can be tracked. These little Bluetooth transmitters are becoming a radio frequency standard. This device lets a smartphone know when it's within a certain distance of the beacon. You can buy these off the shelf, and each has a unique ID. With proximity beacons on the equipment, we can install an app on Henry Ford smartphones that will make each phone a sensor to detect and report the location of the beacon. If you recall the tile that we talked about in the beginning, this is exactly what it's doing. This will mean we can track the equipment like an RTLS, but with important distinction that the location updates will not be real time. To highlight the distinction, we're calling this most of the time location services. If that makes you cringe, it was between this or good enough location services. And of course, everything needs an acronym, so let's call this MOTTLS. Why do we think this will work? Our mobile team tells us that there are some 8,000 smartphones moving around Henry Ford Health System right now. If even a percentage of these were enabled as a beacon sensor, then each time a phone passes a tag, the location of that tag or equipment is reported to the database. If this equipment were in constant motion, sure, we would need a real-time system, but because the misplaced equipment is more likely to be stationary, we think that most of the time we'll do just fine. For a hospital the size of Henry Ford Hospital, we know that RTLS can go north of $2 million. Because with volume discounts, we can get these tags for about $10, and because you don't need the additional infrastructure, the total for this MOTTLS would be a fraction of the cost. So let's get started. First, we need to finish the POC that we started. We've talked to legal and we've talked to information privacy and security, and we've enrolled in the Maps Connect program. We sent them our CAD files. We'll be fingerprinting West Bloomfield very soon. That'll give us that little blue dot that we talked about. Then we can have an app posting the location of a small number of beacons to the database. We're working with a third party for the purchase of some indoor maps. Once we complete that, we can finish the indoor navigation app and we can roll that out to the users. That would be our first pilot launch. For the MOTTLS piece, we'll build out the rest of the software and prepare to scale it out to a large number of users and a large number of devices. With the app ready for users, we can continue testing and the scale necessary to get the location reports where we need them. We would integrate it with a transport system and prepare for our second launch early in 2016. So Metaphora is a location company, and the market for location is growing rapidly. Because the current focus is on retail and public spaces, there seems to be plenty of room in healthcare. The IPIN or location-based services market is projected to be $4.8 billion by 2018. This is just the indoor market. It's growing by 43% a year. RTLS is projected to be $20 billion market by 2020. The competitors listed here are all coming at this from different direction. Logic Junction and AskCody are not able to do the indoor positioning. Cisco, Aruba, and Navizon are hardware solutions that do positioning, but they're very expensive. The closest matches in healthcare are MobileSmith and Connexion. They're leveraging that expensive infrastructure listed above, so they're pricey as well. On our team, we have an engineer, scientist, developer, physician, nurse, wireless architect, designer, project manager, and we have some business experience as well. With partners like Apple and app developers that are lining up to help, we're confident we have the team to do this. So if we're going to market, we think that the beacon installation is our minimum viable product. We would like to do a proof of concept and pilot at West Bloomfield. We think that risk sharing through the 4 stage gates is a way to let the project prove its value. We're selling software, hardware, and services. As we complete the proof of concept and are into our pilot, we would be reinforcing our team and preparing to go to market. Depending upon what the demand looks like, we'd be looking at perhaps working with a value-added reseller. So, with the implementation of indoor positioning and indoor navigation here at Henry Ford Health System, we're sure we'll be able to find some of the things that we talked about. We may even find a few surprises. But what we want to leave you with is this. Try to think of how disruptive GPS technology has been and imagine the possibilities when we're able to bring location indoors. Thank you.